think we're on, I'm not sure. Yeah. All right, so I don't know if there's anyone who kind of understands this this picture or not. Is that considered corporal punishment these days? I know spanking is, but can a mom or dad wash their kid's mouth out with soap if they say the wrong thing? I don't know. I'm going to just be honest here. So yours truly told a lie earlier this week. And it caused me to actually have a few bad nights' sleep. I mean, I felt so bad about it. I mean, I was, right afterward, I said, Julie, I just lied. I gotta fix this problem on Monday when, it had to do with my client, nobody here. All right. So I said, I got to call them Monday and just tell them that what I said was not really the truth. And so, I mean, I've been praying about it. I've been confessing it. And so usually I'll get the title on Friday evenings. And I woke up at 1:30 this morning and it's like, and was praying and going in that secret place, taking my problem there, and so this morning, after about a half hour of meditation, he gave it to me. He says, "We're washing out mouths." And I thought, well, yeah, thanks. I said, many times you give me the message, and I'm wondering who it's for, but this time, it's like, thank you very much. You're going to make a public spectacle of this thing. It was as if I was like looking at Bathsheba bathing or something, right? It's like, but sin is sin. Telling an untruth, telling a lie is a sin. With God, he doesn't see it like, oh yeah, well that one told a lie, and that's not as bad as King Solomon looking down and lusting after Bathsheba. It's like, no, it's sin. He hates it. But anyway, this morning he was very wonderful. He's given forgiveness. He's given me determination to make it all right. And I don't want to go through that two days of separation or whatever it was anymore, And so this is a picture. This is a picture of a young boy, and it's on the screen. It's also on the bulletin. It's a picture of a young boy who appears to just have had his face and his mouth washed with a bar of soap. I would say he did it because he got the bar of soap in his hand. It's all over his face, and it's coming down his neck, but you can see his tongue is out and there's some soap on his tongue too. This picture brings up a lot of memories of my own upbringing. When I was about the same age as this young guy, and if I would ever say anything vulgar or disrespectful and my mom was around and heard it, you know what she would do? First of all, she would catch me by surprise because she was a pretty smart lady. So I guess if I knew in advance that she had heard it and I knew that she was going for that bar of soap, I would have taken off. But by the time I noticed that she was there, even if I started to run, she was on top of me. She'd sit on me and she would say, "Open your mouth," and she would actually clean out my mouth and say, "Don't you ever say what you just said." Whether I said something vulgar or I don't remember that, if I had ever said anything untrue, but if it was anything disrespectful, anything vulgar, anything like that, she would clean my mouth out with soap. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. I'm not sure if this disciplinary action is still allowed or not. Does anyone do this? Did anyone out here have their mouth washed out as a kid? Okay, 1, 2, 3. You can raise your hand only once. I mean, it happened to me probably at least a dozen times. So I'm not going to raise my hand 12 times.
Oh, only a dozen?
Only maybe more. I don't know. I'm very forgetful at my age.
I think I qualified for 100.
So I'm not sure if this is or was ever the practice in other countries. It was kind of neat because our friend and brother in Pakistan, he sent a, I don't know if I can get over there, but he sent a, I'm going to try that. So you notice this, he sent a quote early this morning, 2 hours ago. He says, the topic seems very interesting, like God says in Hosea 2:12. I'll wash your mouth out with soap, get rid of all the dirty false God names, not so much as a whisper of those names again. And he's wishing us a blessed, happy, or blessed weekend anyway. So let me get back. All right. And let's try to get back. So here we go. All right. So it's in your hand now, Roger. So today's scripture is from Proverbs 15. And I have actually given a summary. I'm going to read the whole thing. So it starts out with, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness. Rika says, Dad, what's perverseness? Being perverse, being sinful, doing terrible things like lying or watching Bathsheba take a bath without clothes on. That's perverseness. Mistreating your brothers and sisters. You know, those things are perverse, and it breaks the spirit. So a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. It starts out with, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. That's Proverbs 15:1. And I can put this really in order because I have it broken out. And we have Proverbs, if someone has the text, go ahead and read it. You'll be ahead of me. So then Proverbs 2 is, the tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of fools pours forth foolishness. And then 3 and 4 is, the eyes of Yahweh are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue, here we are, is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. So, in Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turns away wrath, harsh words stir up anger. There's a cross-reference to another section of the Bible. And can you guess who it would be? It was on Rehoboam. You remember Rehoboam and Jeroboam? Who was the good king? Jeroboam. Yeah. And Rehoboam was the one that wasn't so good. I'd like to tell the story. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone to Shechem to help him king, make him king. So it happened when Jeroboam the son of Nebat heard it, he was still in Egypt, for he had fled from the presence of King Solomon and had been dwelling in Egypt, that they sent and called him. Then Jeroboam and the whole assembly of Israel came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, your father made our yoke heavy. Now, therefore, lighten the burdensome service of your father, and his heavy yoke which he put on us, and we will serve you. And so here we have Jeroboam coming to Rehoboam and asking for him to lighten up the load that was put on him and his people. So he, Rehoboam, said to them, depart for 3 days, then come back to me. And the people departed. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who stood before his father Solomon while he was alive. These are older guys that had been advisors to King Solomon. And Rehoboam said, how do you advise me to answer these people? And they spoke to him, saying, if you will be a servant to these people today, and serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever. So be kind to them, speak good words to them. If you do that, at least in the beginning, they'll be your servants forever, and they'll stick with you. It must be that he didn't like this guy, and he didn't like that. I would want to say that the smartest thing that Rehoboam did before he failed in this situation was he said that he would answer in 3 days. And so that would give him time to think it through. He did what he was supposed to do. He consulted the elders, right? The wise men that were wise, that were advisors to the wisest guy in the world, Solomon, King Solomon. So he did that right. And we're going to get into some practical tips for how to overcome anger, but the first one is if he was to give an answer right away, one of the tips is if you get angry at what someone says to you, and this is a practical thing, Start counting. I don't care if you do it backwards. Maybe backwards would be better because you're thinking of something else rather than your anger, but from 10 to 0. Or if you're really, really angry, how about backwards from 100 to 0? And you're supposed to be able to calm down in that time. Well, anyway, at least Rehoboam did it right. He said, I'll give you an answer in 3 days, and he did consult his advisors, the wise older men. But then it says, the young men, be careful of your friends, right? The young men who had grown up with him spoke to him, saying, thus you should speak to these people who have spoken to you, saying, your father made our yoke heavy, and you make it lighter, but you make it lighter for us. Thus you shall say to them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's waist. And now, whereas my father put a heavy yoke on you, I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scourges. And I looked that word up. That's something with barbs and points on it. And the translation of the word literally is a scorpion. So I will chastise you with scourges, with something like scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the 3rd day, as the king had directed them, saying, come back to me on the 3rd day. Then the king answered the people roughly, another translation of that word is harshly, and rejected the advice which the elders had given him, and he spoke to them according to the advice of the young men, his friends, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scourges. So the king did not listen to the people, for the turn of events was from Yahweh, that he might fulfill Yahweh's word, which Yahweh had spoken by Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So this was prophesied. And so, as we're going to see here, and I'll read the rest of this, but a decision out of pride or anger or whatever it was, just maybe it was, his friends, he wanted to be cool with his friends, he had power, whatever the reason was, his decision would divide Israel. And so we have to be very careful with the things that we say. There's big stuff that happens out of a word spoken in the wrong tone, a word spoken in the wrong way, a wrong word chosen. And so let's read the rest of this. This is from 1 Kings. We're in chapter 12. Now when all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, the people answered the king, saying, what share have we in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to your own house, O David. So Israel departed to their tents. But Rehoboam reigned over the children of Israel, who dwelt in the city of Judah, the cities of Judah. And what that means is that, but nowhere else. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was in charge of the revenue, but all Israel stoned him with stones, and he died. Therefore King Rehoboam mounted his chariot in haste to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. Again, written in Kings, 1 Kings. And it concludes, the story is, now it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam had come back, they sent for him and called him to the congregation and made him king over all Israel. There was none who followed the house of David but the tribe of Judah only. So now we have a divided Israel. Anger and pride, main sources of harsh words. I did believe at first that this was a message that was going to be for me exclusively. But you know what? When I think of this group, when I think of my other friends, when I think of people I've met in different places around the world, there are so many of us who have a love relationship with each other, but yet we don't like each other very much. Have you noticed that? I mean, I know in this group particularly, if anyone had a problem, if you needed to borrow something, or you fell short of food or money or something, we would be there, or somebody would accuse one of us. We would all be there in an instant just like that, and we would be defending each other. But yet there's always fighting over this or fighting over that, or this person didn't say something. And the worst is lately has been like, thank goodness the election is over, but the politics. So, I mean, right? So we love each other, but then we can't get along with each other. And we end up saying things that we don't intend to say. Usually it's pride or anger. That's my conclusion anyway. So if you think about it, what would you say are the main reasons behind our harsh words? And so let's look at the anger issue first. And let's see if we can figure out how we might be able to control it better. And I went to this site called Healthline. And this is an article that was written by a Kimberly Holland. And she actually had this advice medically reviewed by a Dr. Timothy Legg, his PhD in CRNP certifications and a degree. So this is interesting. These are 25 man-wise ideas how to overcome anger. And what I'd like to do is if I can get volunteers, if I can see hands, somebody who's willing to read, because there's 25 of them, I'd like to go in rotation. Okay, Roger, but loudly and just quick turnover. Okay, Rob, we'll do it in that order. Okay, Roger, Rob, any other volunteers? No? Heidi? Todd? Mike? Mike, you got a good loud voice. Yes, no?
I'll go with number 3.
All right, so we're going to go in rotation. Okay, I'll take the first one, so you'll be, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll keep rotating. Countdown. Number one way to control your anger, and I already mentioned this one. Count down up to 10 or down from 10. If you're really mad, start at 100, down from 100 or up to 100. In the time it takes you to count, your heart rate will slow and your anger will likely subside. And the next, take a breather, Roger.
Take a breather. Your breathing becomes shallower and speeds up as you grow angry. Reverse that trend and your anger by taking slow, deep breaths from your nose and exhaling out of your mouth for several moments.
Rob, go walk around. Yeah, we gotta move this, Roger. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
Thank you.
Go walk around. Exercise can help calm your nerves and reduce anger. Go for a walk, ride your bike, or hit a few golf balls, if that's what you do. Anything that gets your limbs pumping is good for your mind and body.
Relax your muscles, Mike.
Progressive muscle relaxation.
Louder.
Progressive muscle relaxation calls on you to tense and slowly relax various muscle groups in your body, one at a time. As you tense and release, take slow, deliberate breaths.
All right, thank you. Repeat a mantra. Find a word or phrase that helps you calm down and refocus. Repeat that word again and again to yourself when you're upset. Relax. Take it easy. You'll be okay. Are all good examples.
Stretch. Neck roll, and shoulder rolls are good examples of non-strenuous movements that can help you control your body and harness your emotions. No fancy equipment required.
Mentally escape. Slip into a quiet room, close your eyes, and practice visualizing yourself in a relaxing scene. Focus on details in the imaginary scene. What color is the water? How tall are the mountains? What do the chirping birds sound like? The practice can help you find calm amidst anger. Or better yet, how about going to that secret place that we talked about in last week's message?
Remember that, guys? Mike?
Play some tunes. Let music carry you away from your feelings. Put in earbuds or slip out to your car. Crank up your favorite music and hum, bop, or sashay your anger away.
No, this one's definitely for me. When I want to say something, when I haven't thought whether the words are right, or just stop talking. When you're steamed, you may be tempted to let the angry words fly, but you're more likely to do harm than good. Pretend your lips are glued shut, just like you did as a kid. This moment without speaking will give you time to collect your thoughts.
Give yourself a break. Sit away from others. In this quiet time, you can process events and return your emotions to neutral. You may even find this time away from others is so helpful you want to schedule it into your daily routine.
Take action. Harness your anger energy. Sign a petition. Write a note to an official. Do something good for someone else. Pour your energy and emotion into something that's healthy and productive.
What you can't say, perhaps you can write. Jot down what you're feeling and how you want to respond. Processing it through the written word can help you calm down and reassess the events leading up to your feelings.
Okay, so find the most immediate solution. You might be angry that your kid has once again left the room a mess before going to visit a friend. Shut the door. You can temporarily end your anger by putting it out of your view. Look for similar resolutions in any situation. Rehearse your response. Roger.
Prevent an outburst by rehearsing what you're going to say or how you're going to approach the problem in the future. This rehearsal period gives you time to role play several possible solutions too.
Picture a stop sign. The universal symbol to stop can help you calm down when you're angry. It's a quick way to help you visualize the need to halt yourself, your actions, and walk away from the moment.
Change your routine, Mike.
If your slow commute to work makes you angry, before you even had coffee, find a new route. Consider options that may take longer, but leave you less upset in the end.
It's good that I got this one. Talk to a friend. Don't talk to your friend like Rehoboam did, right? All right, but anyway, don't stew in the event that made you angry. Help yourself process what happened by talking with a trusted, supportive friend who can possibly provide a new perspective. Why don't we do what Rehoboam did too and go to an elder person who is like a leader in the church or somebody who has a good reputation? Anyway, and let's listen to them actually. All right, laugh, Roger.
Nothing upends a bad mood like a good one. Diffuse your anger by looking for ways to laugh, whether that's playing with your kids, watching stand-up, or scrolling memes.
Practice gratitude. Take a moment to focus on what's right when everything feels wrong. Realizing how many good things you have in your life can help you neutralize anger and turn around the situation.
Set a timer. The first thing that comes to mind when you're angry likely isn't the thing you should say. Give yourself a set time before you respond. This time will help you be calmer and more concise.
Again, there's a good reason for me to read 21. Write a letter or email to the person that made you angry, then delete it. And don't ever do what I've done 100 times while you're writing it. Don't put their address in. Just pretend like you've got their address in, because how many times have you sent an email and it's like, oops, I want that one back. All right. So write a letter or email to the person that made you angry, then delete it. Don't let it slip away by accident. Often expressing your emotions in some form is all you want, even if it's in something that will never be seen. Imagine forgiving them, Roger.
Finding the courage to forgive someone who has wronged you takes a lot of emotional skill. If you can't go that far, you could at least pretend that you've forgiven them, that you're forgiving them, and you'll feel your anger slip away.
Practicing empathy. Try to walk in the other person's shoes and see the situation from their perspective. When you tell the story or relive the events as they saw it, you may
Okay, there it goes.
You may gain a new understanding and become less angry.
Express your anger. It's okay to say how you feel, as long as you handle it in the right way. Ask a trusted friend to help you be accountable to a calm response. Outbursts solve no problems, but mature dialogue can help reduce your stress and ease your anger. It may also prevent future problems.
I got the last one. Find a creative channel. Turn your anger into a tangible production. Consider painting, gardening, or writing poetry when you're upset. Emotions are very powerful muses for creative individuals. Use yours to reduce anger. And I tried to, this is one that helped me as a kid, piano lessons. I wanted to play the accordion, but my mom and dad said, no, you better do piano lessons first, and then if you do well at that, then later you can do accordion lessons. Thank God, because I don't really like accordions now. I mean, accordions are kind of corny, but I mean, there's some nice music that is being done by accordions. And so I was required to practice the piano 1 hour after school when I got home. And you know what? after a tough day at school, there was nothing better than banging on those keys. It was, you know, I didn't have a punching bag. I think nowadays we want to hit the punching bag, right, to get some of that frustration out. But, you know, as long as I hit the keys right, and some of the music actually had to be, you know, largo, or had to be hit, or staccatos, where you had to like slam your fingers on the keys. And so some of the music was just right for letting some anger out on the keyboard. Okay, that's number 25, kind of. Anyway, the next section, pride, anger and pride. Pride goeth before a fall, or before destruction. And here's the next chapter over, Proverbs 16, 18 to 19. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be a humble spirit with the lowly. Better to be a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. So we've had many previous messages on this subject, right? So the anger one, you got 25 or 26 practical tips. Pride is and both of these are almost impossible traits to control. And we will certainly need, again, we're going to go back to that secret place. If we've got issues, like we covered last week, take those issues. I took my issue in my secret place. Thank goodness my secret place is also in my office here in the mornings, usually on weekends from 2:30 to the time you guys get here. And weekdays it's like 3:30, 4:30 until the employees get in about 8. So it's nice I actually have a physical place, but it could be up here as well. So if you have problems with either of those things, I would suggest, which is you're not going to find it in the secular article, but I would suggest taking that to the secret place we talked about last week. And after all of that, don't be like Rehoboam, who actually took 3 days, who actually consulted the elders, the wise men. I'll bet he didn't go to the secret place, if I had to guess. Anyway, he, after 3 days, made the wrong choice. Ultimately, make the wise choice. And so the neat thing is if you look in the second, it talks about that in Proverbs 15. So it says the tongue of the wise after the first one, which was our song. What was our song, guys? So Proverbs 1, I should have put this in order. Proverbs 51. Come on, someone got it ahead of me. You got it?
No.
It's very important because it's all in context. And I got this marked up too. All right, come on, somebody help me out.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Thank you. A tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of fools pours forth foolishness. All right, so after all is said and done, make sure what comes out ultimately is wisdom. And so we consider Rehoboam's story again. Remember that he took 3 days, as I just mentioned, to consider how he was going to provide an answer to his subjects. So that was a smart step, together with the step he took in seeking the advice of his father's advisors. But ultimately, he made the wrong choice, and the nation became divided because of it, because of him. So even if you and I have considered all the advice about anger and pride, and 3 days have passed until it's time, we still have to make a wise choice. Don't you agree? And so Solomon was wise to say that the rightful way for the use of our tongues is for us to first be wise. For the mouth of fools pours forth foolishness. And so as we close, let us now go into that secret place, that space, and ask Yahweh for his help in dealing with our anger and pride issues. And while we're there, let's also ask for the wisdom that we need so that we will ultimately say and do the right thing once we have exhausted all that we could possibly do to control our anger and to control our pride. And I love this from James, and we're going to go into James in our closing here. We're promised by James in his writing, James 1, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask Yahweh, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. And let us ask in faith. So ultimately, if we're dealing with any of our issues, we ask for the wisdom to make the right decision. And our closing meditation is this, and it's James 3. And if someone would like to take the first paragraph, do it loudly and clearly. So we can pick it up here.
For we all humble in many things. If anyone does not stumble in word, he or she is a perfect man or woman. Let also able to bridle the whole body. Indeed, we put bits in horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn their whole body. Look also at ships, although they are so large and are driven by fierce winds. They are turned by a very small rudder, wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things.
Amen.
James 3, 2 through 5.
Thank you, Myrna. And so the tongue is like that little rudder guiding the direction of the ship. See how great, and we're continuing in James, see how great a forest a little fire kindles. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among other members that it defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire by hell. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and creature of the sea, is tamed and has been tamed by mankind. But no man can tame the tongue. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless God. We come here on the Shabbat, right, or on Sunday or whenever it is, and we bless him. And with the same tongue we are cursing men on other times who have been made in the similitude or the likeness of Yahweh. Out of the same mouth proceeds blessing and cursing. My brethren, my sisters, these things ought not to be so. Does a spring send forth fresh water and bitter from the same opening? Can a fig tree, my brethren, my sisters, bear olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Thus no spring yields both salt water and fresh. And I like how this is titled. So the conclusion of this chapter 3 in James is called the heavenly versus the demonic wisdom. Some of us can get wisdom, but we're getting it from the wrong place. And so James asks the question, who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by good conduct that his works are done in the meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter envy and self-seeking, selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and lie against the truth. And that one's for me, folks. This wisdom does not descend from above, but is earthly, sensual, demonic. Can't get clearer than that. For where envy and self-seeking exist, confusion and every evil thing are there. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Now the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. And we conclude with the final of the 4 verses in our text today. The eyes of Yahweh are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. May God bless each of you.